Today we're making aioli, a simple Mediterranean garlic sauce made by emulsifying garlic and olive oil. We'll stick to the traditional recipe as much as possible, explaining the process along the way so you can make it your own. First up, we have the garlic. Traditionally, hardneck garlics are used for its robust flavor and high moisture content. By hardneck, literally, I mean there is a proper stem going through the garlic had I not pulled too vigorously. Freshly harvested garlic, when in season, is often preferred. And unfiltered extra virgin olive oil, meaning you can't even see through the oil, was the traditional choice, balancing the pungency of the garlic perfectly. And to pay homage to the origin of the dish, we have Provençal garlic from France, unfiltered olive oil from Catalan, and fleur de sel from France, brought to us by Damien's mother. For the purpose of demonstration, for you to see the emulsion occur, we're using a tiny white pestle mortar. Even though very common practice today, the core of the garlic was not removed from the traditional recipes. They're kept for the pungent kick. And we go. The term aioli comes from the Provençal and Catalan languages, both of which derive from Latin, and it literally translates to garlic oil. Over time, ingredients like egg yolk and lemon juice became more acceptable. And unlike mayonnaise, which relies heavily on the egg yolk, the lecithin in the egg yolk in particular, to bind the oil and the liquid, which is more of an exercise of chemistry, the making of aioli is more of an exercise of physics, because you're relying on the fibrous structure of the crushed garlic paste to suspend the oil droplets and the water content from what is ideally freshly harvested garlic to bind together with the oil droplets, forming the emulsion. Yes, garlic does contain a compound called saponins, but it's not the primary reason for the emulsion to occur. Sea salt goes in to help you form the paste. And even if you have a hand mixer or a blender, if time permits, I would highly recommend that you not skip at least the initial pounding. Yes, the sharp blade from those tools chop the garlic into smaller pieces very efficiently, but they do not rupture the cell walls thoroughly. It is the pounding and grinding motion that ruptures the cell walls, releasing essential oils and aromatic compounds. This is the consistency you're looking for. And now, if you want to, you can use those tools. But for the purpose of demonstration, we'll show you how the emulsion slowly occurs. First, just a few drops of this unfiltered beauty, and you go again. Once you cannot see much of the oil, you add a few more drops. And we continue. In a culinary world that is blessed with scientific inventions, making our lives easier almost daily, when I'm learning to make something, I try to do it by hand at least once, if possible, just to understand the process. The same principle applies, that I like to use a calculator. But when I teach my kids maths, I would still like them to be able to count. And a classic aioli is quite coarse in texture, closer to a porridge than a store-bought mayonnaise. The smell is just incredible. That's after about 3 minutes. Once you know you pretty much have a stable emulsion, you're then solving for A, pungency, and B, consistency. Counterintuitively, for most emulsions, the more oil you add, the thicker it becomes. And it's at this point you want to keep tasting. Because bear in mind, every time you add the oil, unlike a typical mayonnaise, you're adding flavor as well, especially the peppery notes from the unfiltered version of the olive oil. You can't use a whisk, by the way, but we did say trying to stay as traditional as possible. Oh, you can feel the thickness now. Look at this. Oh, beautiful. And that's aioli done.